Hey everybody, Eric Schweitzer here from TheGamer, and I'm here with Jade King, who reviewed Alan Wake 2. Jade,
I'm in the dark place, Eric. Get me
I'm
out.
deep in that dark place.
Deep in that darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like this
Uh,
game is fantastic.
yeah, I was about to say, we don't have to bury the lead on this one. What a freaking video
Like
game.
holy shit. Like I did
I
not
am,
expect it to be as good as it is.
yeah, I've just been blown away. I haven't quite finished it. I'm close, but I've just been blown away by like every second of this game and how clear its vision is,
Mm.
how it just is really going for it every second, and it just nails it. I can't wait to get into it with you here. Where do we even start? I guess we start with Saga.
Yes. So if you've been paying any attention to like this game's pre-release like hype cycle, you'll know Adam Wake is back. He's been trapped in the dark place since 2010, which is quite a while. He's missed a lot. He's missed the Trump presidency and all that stuff.
Good for him, dude. It couldn't have been that
Yeah, I
dark a
know. Like
place.
that's probably a better place to be. But
Yeah,
Saga Anderson, she's an FBI agent. She's got a partner called Casey, who is played by game director Sam Lake, because of course. And she is sent to the town of Bright Falls to investigate some ritualistic murders that have been going on. And this inevitably explodes into a giant conspiracy that kind of ends up with like the world hanging in the balance because Alan Wake's evil twin is like rewriting reality as we know it. It's ridiculous. It's pulpy. It's over the top, but it's also like terrifying and sincere and so well done in like everything it manages to do. It's quite
yeah.
like this game blew me away. I think I was expecting it to be good, but not like this.
Right. It's also like incredibly layered. I think like
Yeah,
it's
one
gonna be
hundred percent.
compared a lot to Resident Evil because unlike the first Alan Wake, this one is really survival horror. I mean,
No, this is one of the scariest games I've played in a long time, and I don't think that's an exaggeration.
yeah, no, it is. It's absolutely terrifying.
Like
Uh, it's got atmosphere out the wazoo.
it's
Um,
almost silent. Like you compare it to Resi, but there's a lot of Silent Hill in here too. I think.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. But I think because Resident Evil 4 came out this year, there will be a lot of
Yeah, that's the
comparisons.
closest comparison, like 1,000,000%.
But I find that like Resident Evil and 4 in particular is like the antithesis of subtext.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like the most unsubtle game in the world.
right. It's just like pure camp and overt, and everyone says exactly what they mean, and there's nothing confusing about,
No,
there's nothing introspective, or there's nothing worth examining really.
yeah, but like
It's just
Adam
action
Wake is
figures.
like playing tricks on you from the very beginning. Like it wants you to always. I said this in the opening line of my review. Like Remedy has always been masterful at like this sense of like uncanny and unease. Like they want to make you question the world you're in. Like even Control or Quantum Break, but with this, like
Yeah.
when you turn up to the town for the first time, people are going, "Wait, I know you," despite your character having never been there before in their life. It's like all these little things. It's like a creepy play that's playing out that you're unaware of. Like, and
Yeah.
it doesn't give you those answers. It deliberately wants you to dig and think about it yourself, and it doesn't care if you're right or you're wrong. And even that's just Saga side of things as well. Like the way it does that horror and that intrigue is just so, like as you said, layered.
Right. Yeah. And you never know what's real, and everything is leveraging like literary references, and it's complex.
It's wanky, but it's like it gets away with it because it's just so good in like
Yeah.
how it does it. I mean, it is because it's Remedy. Like this game balances like terrifying murder scenes with like choreographed 20-minute dance numbers. Like it manages to do both of those things, but still have a cohesive identity.
Right.
It's an achievement, I think.
Okay, let's talk about some specifics. So while Saga is investigating these string of cult murders in Bright Falls, she's using this mind place mechanic. And when I played it during the preview, I was pretty confused. I think when
Mm.
they teach you from the beginning, it's not hard to grasp how this evidence board thing works.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
what do you think about it? It's kind of just like a way to move your quest log forward, but you can also ignore it most of the time.
Yeah, because I found if you progressed a quest on your like on your own, Saga would go back to the board and be like, "Oh, we've done this. We don't need to waste time," and it would fill in itself. But I did really like how it grounded you in the world and in her occupation because it made sense that you're coming into this new place and gathering clues and trying to figure out like what's going on, and being able to like because the way you go to the Mind Palace, like you press the touchpad or a key and you're there immediately. Like there's like no loading involved and it doesn't pause the game, so you're still in danger. But I really loved like having a place I could go back to figure out puzzles or progress the narrative. If it like as I said, like it grounds you in like a sense of place and it makes you feel like you're always moving forward, not just moving forward, shooting the next thing and progressing the story. It feels like you're piecing it all together.
Yeah. There's a lot of different aspects of the mind place. One is the evidence board that we're looking at now, which can be helpful. Like some of it is just like tracking collectibles. You'll
Yeah,
find
it's a
like
few.
lunchboxes and stuff,
I
and
don't know if
that'll
there's
help
anything
you.
that will get you if you do all of those, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then also it there are clues that like putting your evidence up on the board can lead you in the right direction if you're
mm,
stuck. Um so that's one part of it. There's also the profiles, which is bizarre. But I
yeah,
will say that the deeper you get into the game, the more it makes sense. There's like story relevance to the mind
I
place.
agree. It explains why Saga can do this. I won't
Yeah.
spoil that, but it gets more like existential and paranormal and weird. It's like okay, it makes sense why she can. She basically like if you need to talk to an NPC about finding information, but they're not telling you about it, you can go into the mind place, profile them, and then you can like delve into their heads to get what they're thinking. Then
Yeah.
then go out of the mind place and be like, I know you know where the keys are, mate. Like you're lying to me, and then they'll be like, "Oh, you got me. It's really
Or
weird that you know
sometimes
that."
yeah, or sometimes not even talk to them ever. Sometimes you just go to the mind place, look at a picture of a person, and then it'll tell you where the thing is you're looking for.
Yeah, you just mug this guy off. It's also good to get that like inner monologue of Saga as a character because we know
Right.
who Alan Wake is going in. We know like what he's been through, but this is like a new character in this world, and she needs to like Remedy needs to justify what her story is to us. And I think they do a relatively compelling job. Like it materializes early on that the daughter she has at home in reality apparently drowned years ago in Bright Falls, and Saga then left. But that's obviously never happened. So when people start saying, "Oh, shame about your dead kid," she's like, "What?" And it's cool. It has you asking questions as much as she is.
Yeah. Um I guess we can talk a little bit about the structure of it too, which is
Mm,
very unique
yeah,
because it is two separate campaigns in the way that like Resident Evil 2 is two separate campaigns, but you are playing them simultaneously.
yeah. Because you don't. Am I correct in thinking you technically wouldn't need to do a second playthrough because you just do each chapter
Right.
depending on which one you want to do, and
Yeah.
the stories are all leading to the same place. It's just a case of you deciding which events you want to experience them in. Because
Right.
for context, after I think it's like the fourth chapter or so, you'll gain the ability in the majority of save rooms to stare into a puddle. Like it's a janitor puddle, so it's like Artie from Control, who is in this game a lot. Like this is a
There's a
Control
lot of
game. Yeah,
control. Yeah.
but essentially you look into this puddle and after a small load, you're Alan or you're Saga, and it's a case of okay, you can pursue this mission now and then go to the end of the chapter. But I think you can pretty much switch back and forth when you like,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you have to find a save room that has a puddle in it. Not all
which not
save
all of them
rooms
do.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, you can leave in the middle of a chapter. You can play all of Saga's stuff and then do all of Alan's stuff. But yeah, that was really interesting to me. How you yeah, this place is horrifying. This is a coffee themed theme park.
but tying into like the coffee theme park. I've never been to like this swampland shithole America, but like the atmosphere is dead on. Like even when nothing's happening, you feel almost like oppressed and terrified, like something is going to happen. Like you wrote
Yes.
about the jump scares, Eric. If you want to like talk about how those are so horrible but also so good.
Yeah, the jump scare. I don't really like jump scares in general. Like
It's
as a
spooky.
concept, I think it's like they're cheap. We all call them cheap scares, right?
Yeah,
But the way that this game turns jump scares into a character in and of itself is incredible. There,
it really is.
it's like this haunting presence that's always with you, and they're trickster. Like the jump scares will come at the most ridiculous times. They'll be like real world jump scares, and then at the same time like a big flashy screamy guy at your face.
It's like this black and white AMV, not AMV, that's anime, FMV footage, or just because there was a moment where I was chasing a sheriff and he was clearly like a ghost or a specter. And whenever I tried to shoot him, whenever my bullets made contact, there'd be a scare and he'd disappear. But in the context of like a different horror game where they're just leaning on that for all of their scares, it would be obnoxious. But
Right.
in this, I think it thematically reinforces a lot of what the game is going for. Like this world isn't real and it's not yours to control, and whatever is hunting you is messing with you. And I like there's an old people's home in like the second act that is has an old lady chasing after you, and she will not stop jumping out at you.
Yeah,
But when you get to her, it's just like, oh yeah, this game is good.
it's good. And I wanted to get back to what you were saying about the atmosphere, because there's a lot of this game where nothing is happening. Like
Yeah,
what
million
going
percent.
back to like Resident Evil is like nonstop set pieces. Like every moment of that game is a like big moment, you know? And that's what I really love about Resident Evil 4. But this one is much more quiet in contrast, and a lot of the game is wandering alone through the woods with a flashlight, and nothing is trying to hurt you, like nothing bad is happening, but it is so terrifying. The use of like sound and light and space in this game
Yeah,
creates the perfect atmosphere.
because they have that confidence to like they almost want you to like sit around in the malaise and walk around. There was a moment there's an area early on called Cauldron Lake, and I just went back there for like an hour just to look around, and I couldn't figure out how to solve some of the puzzles. So all I was doing was just wasting time walking around in
Mhm.
circles and getting lost. But it didn't feel tedious. It just felt like okay, I'm investigating and I'm terrified and I really need to get back to my car, and a few games can let you just go off on your own and still manage to like convey that sense of momentum and immersion, but this game does
Yeah,
it and almost makes it look easy.
right. Yeah, we can talk about the tech a little bit, because I don't know if I've seen like face capture stuff that looks this good before.
Right, I noticed that too. Like especially there's a nurse Rose who you meet, or nurse and coffee lady, but I
Yeah,
was watching her face. I'm watching Artie's face, the janitor, and I was like, oh my god, like the facial animations in this are next level, and
yeah.
you almost wouldn't expect it to be, but I suppose after
It's
Control. Oh, here's
yeah,
Alan.
it looks unbelievable. It's incredibly demanding. If you're playing on PC, I had to do some upgrades just to play this game.
Oh, is that why you upgraded your PC? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It expects a lot. Like I'm running a 3070 uh, RTX, and that's almost like minimum for this game. Like
Oh my
it's
goodness.
yeah, but it's like they put it all on the screen. You know?
No, this game looks. Control looked amazing, but this game looks extraordinary in places. Like, I played on PS5 in the quality mode, and Remedy sent over like exact resolution metrics, and it's just short of 2160p at 30, or the performance mode levels that down for 60. I played the whole thing on quality mode, and I had a few drops here and there, but it was remarkably consistent given how good the game looks.
Hmm.
Like Alan Wake spends much of the game in like a version of Manhattan that where it never stops raining and there's loads of neon lights and stuff. It's quite extraordinary. And
Yeah.
then
So
yeah,
let's
carry on.
let's talk about the Alan side of the game, because I think while mechanically they're the same, there's huge gameplay differences between
Yeah, I agree.
Alan and Saga side. So we saw some Saga before, and it's very like explorational, and it's also very like Twin Peaks and True Detective. It's like this rural
It is
horror where
so
you're,
True Detective.
yeah, you're hunting down this cult. Alan's side of the story is pure surrealism, and there's surreal stuff in Saga's story, but Alan's story takes place in this dream city, this
The
like
Dark
fake New
Place.
York, where like the buildings change shape, where like you can't ever trust your eyes. Like everything is like morphine, and everything is built around Alan. Like the place exists for his benefit. So like all the graffiti on the walls are messages to him. You know, all the TVs are playing shows about him. Like it's like this hyper paranoia for like every moment that you're in this place.
Yeah, because
Um,
like it's built around Alan, but it's also like built to his detriment, isn't it? Because like
right.
we won't spoil for plot reasons, but this world is like based on work he's done, but it's also like twisting that work into something that can damage him. And that makes the level design and the places you explore super unpredictable, but also super compelling as a consequence.
Yeah. And he has some tools. So one thing that you'll see right here is that he can grab light and move it around. We talked about this in the preview too. When he moves that light, it transforms the world instantly.
Mm.
It's a cool trick, and it's almost a gimmick, but it's done so well that it's impressive like every single time.
Yeah.
So like right here, the subway was blocked, and you move the light, and it transforms and unblocks the subway. And it'll do that in small ways and in big ways. It'll just create a staircase in front of you. You know, sometimes it'll take like a construction site and then turn it into whatever that construction site was going to become.
Mm. Because there's no way to know what that's going to do. And I think that's what makes it more than a gimmick. It's like you're excited to see what the world changes into. And that like extends into some of Alan's other mechanics too.
Yeah. The other thing, which is, this is going to sound so esoteric, it's almost unbelievable that this is in a video game. So Alan will find scenes of his character, Alex Casey, describing story beats, and then Alan can write in whatever that story beat is into the world, and it'll transform the world around him.
Oh, it's so good.
It is
Oh,
so
goodness me.
obscure and bizarre, but we're seeing an example of it here. He'll find these little light tunnels, and when he looks down them, his character, Alex Casey, will appear as if he's part of a story, and then Alan can change the world to match whatever that story is.
It's similar to when you'd get like exposition in Control with those strange live action blooms of light, and you can see like the silhouettes of
Yes.
characters.
So
And
here's one
it's
where
Sam
there's
Lake, obviously.
right. Here's one where there's a train in the way, and then he writes in this new scene, and it transforms the world so that the train is crashed now. It's so cool.
I know that's pretty much it. It's like I don't know about you, but there's some instances where you don't see the permutations for every area. But I
True.
went back on purpose just to be like, what happens if I put this here and I put this here, just to see. Sometimes it wouldn't impact the game or help me progress, but I just wanted to do it anyway because it was cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Alan stuff is very linear compared to Saga's.
Yeah.
You're trying to get from point A to point B, but it's never a straight line. You know, you have to take these super circuitous routes, um, and it also like the the level design employs dream logic in a way that you have to start to map out. You have to understand how the dream logic works in order to find your way through spaces.
Mm.
I think a good example of that is the Ocean View Hotel, where the bathroom in one room will connect to the bathroom in a room on a
Yeah,
different
that weirded
floor.
me out. Yeah, that was cool though.
Yeah, and you have to figure out how those spaces connect and like how the world is shaped in order to make your way around it. And while you're doing that, you're also transforming it by writing in new scenes. And uh, damn, it's just so cool and very very spooky.
This game is it's so spooky, but it's so kooky. It's like the Adams Family.
Yeah. We've managed to talk a lot without really like giving spoilers away, and I know that like some stuff we've said has probably sounded pretty vague. But I think it's important. Like all this stuff we're watching is in the first like 4 or 5 hours of the game, and I think that we don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
Although I do want to talk about the musical.
Oh my
I mean,
god. Were was your jaw on the floor, Eric? Were you just like, oh my god, when
it's
this started happening?
unbelievable.
It is the best moment in a video game I've seen this year. It's a musical retelling of Alan Wake, but it's like 20 minutes long and it goes so hard.
It is like, yeah, it goes on forever and it never gets old. And it features the old gods of Asgard, which are big, like important characters in this game too, like the first one. And it is hilarious, and it's like stunning the way it all is put together with all of these projection displays. The song is a banger.
They're all really good singers, right? Alan Wake.
Yeah.
There's a moment towards the end of the number where he like devolves into like this slow jazz soliloquy, and it's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, but it's also like it's a performance, but it's also like taunting Alan.
Yeah, like they tie it into the narrative beautifully.
Yeah, just like everything in this game, it's like super layered. There's like so much going on here, but it's just such a cool set piece moment. It's way cooler than the matchstick room or whatever from
Ashtray
Control.
Maze in Control
Ashtray
is
Maze,
overrated. Yeah. They just played a Pearl Jam song on a shootout. That's all it is.
Yeah, and Ashtray Maze falls apart if you have to redo it. Like if you die during that thing, it's loses all of its magic.
This thing is paced in a way where even the performers on the screen are leading you in the right direction, or the way the screens are placed.
Yeah,
there's some combat towards the end of the musical, but once again, it's tied in with the tempo and what Alan is doing in the moment. Oh, this is a good game.
It's so good. This game is so good. You gave it a perfect score.
5 out of 5.
I can't blame you. The only thing I do want to mention is like the pretty big technical issues I've been having on PC.
Yeah, I didn't play on PC, so maybe I'm not shadowed by that.
Yeah, so a few things like when it rains in the dark place, performance absolutely tanks.
Oh, is it like ray tracing stuff too?
I have ray tracing off. Like I have a 5800X, a 3070 RTX, and 64 gigs of RAM, and I can't play with ray tracing at 1080p.
Oh my god, that's demanding.
Yeah, okay. It's so demanding, and I can't. Yeah, so I'm also sometimes buttons will just stop working, and there's nothing I can do but reload a save. So one time I got stuck in the mine place, and the button to leave the mine place just wouldn't work. Sometimes my guns just stop working. I can't shoot them. I've fallen through the world 6 times.
Oh, wow.
I've just like walked into a void and just fallen through the world, or like where the floor is uneven. I've just like stepped forward and there's no floor there and just fell forever.
The only bug I had is I was backing up to see one of the crime scenes, and I didn't notice a pile of chairs behind me, and Alan kind of got stuck in them. But aside from that, the console versions the PS5 version is surprisingly steady. But how demanding it is on PC, I guess I'm not surprised it's got a lot of issues.
I've also had 2 occasions where I needed to talk to a character and there was no prompt. And when that happens, there's no way for you to know that's what's happening. Like, how do you prove a negative, right? Like, you don't know that a character won't talk to you. So I'm just wandering around forever trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do next. And there's no way to figure that out other than to just like give up and reload your save and hope something's different.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did you just have to reload your save?
Yeah. And both times I was like, something's wrong. I shouldn't be this stuck. And I reloaded my save and it's like, oh, this character wants to talk to me now.
Okay.
So yeah, so
lucky.
that stuff has been frustrating on PC, and yet like I can't ding the game at all. maybe that stuff will get smoothed out on a day one patch or something. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I've lost some time. I don't know. Maybe I've lost a half hour total over this stuff, and I don't care.
To me, it feels like the game that Remedy has always wanted to make. Like they've put this out on their own with some help from Epic, even like Control or Quantum Break and stuff like that. You could see the fantastic ideas and the writing there that they wanted to capitalize on. But I think this is the best game of theirs that blends together that gameplay and that narrative and those characters and that just like blatant surrealism in
Yeah,
such a way where it's just it makes you laugh and it makes you terrified and it makes you like want to see what happens next purely because it's that unpredictable.
yeah,
And we don't get enough games like this, I think, and I think that's why it's deserving of that kind of praise.
yeah. You're absolutely right. I've often said that the best I love everything about Remedy's games is actually playing them.
Yeah, I agree.
And this one breaks the curse.
Because I
This
thought
is
Control was overrated, but I
yeah.
give this a 10 now.
I had a lot of problems with Control, with like the gameplay of Control.
Mm.
I love the themes and the narrative, but getting your hands on it was often cumbersome. This I never felt like that.
No, me neither.
This is a damn good game, even if you take away all of the subtext that makes the world so interesting. It's still just like a really good survival horror shooter. So, boy, we've talked for a half hour, but we could really go much further. Should we do like a spoiler cast maybe in a week or so?
I would
And we'll
absolutely be down for that. I
yeah,
could take some notes and everything.
let's do that. We'll do like a deep dive into the actual narrative stuff in another video. But that's it for our review. You can check out Jade's full written review linked down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's the gamer, no
No
space.
spaces.